Slow as it can be. Okay, I think we're there. Hey, we're live. Yay, yay. Hey,
Awesome.
it's Sue Greenwald here. I'm with awakenstories.com. I'm here today with the original John F. Kennedy Jr. Hey, John, how are you?
I am doing wonderful. It's always great to have you have me on your show, I should say. I look forward to it. I really don't look forward to sharing my story all the time.
Yeah,
Sometimes if I make an appointment to talk to somebody about it, I dread it for days, just thinking about all the negative stuff. But
yeah,
with
yeah.
you, it's awesome. I look forward to it.
Well, we've already kind of told the basis of the story. So, for those that are new, if you'll read this book, Stolen Identity by John Kennedy Jr., okay, on Amazon, that tells the core story. There's more details to it, but it tells the basis of what we're talking to about. And then we had talked, this is maybe our, I don't know, seventh video, eighth video. We actually told the story in the first two videos, and we've throughout there we've told more stories and all of that. So to not to have to go over it over and over because it is traumatizing. So for those that don't know, John was put into, we're going to call it a witness protection program. He was put into a house filled with organized crime, kidnapping, torture, child trafficking, murder. His entire biological family was murdered and replaced by doubles. So I get a lot of questions about that. They want to know who the people in the headlines are, and I'm like, they're doubles. If you read the book or listen to the other videos, you'll understand that. But for for from this point forward, we're just going to basically tell stories, Q&A, talk about whatever we feel like, and encourage people to share the book and the story. So the story is real. And I know that when I go onto YouTube, I get in I get hammered with the videos, the pictures of the double JFK Jr. Okay, and of course all the propaganda that surrounds that. I get like so much stuff, like they're really on me, and I do subscribe to your YouTube channel. And I watched a
Awesome.
video the other day. I tried to comment, I tried to like, it kicked me out. I went back in, I tried to comment and like, it would not let me make a comment. All right. So I'm just
Uh,
one of probably many that have that experience where we're not really being able to get to the content, to the real truth. But we got to hang in
yeah,
there.
my story is being hindered and blocked and shadow banned. And no, I understand the problem on YouTube. I'm still asking people to join me on there. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get 1,000 subscribers, but even Robin was a subscriber on there. And the other day, she said, "I'm not subscribed to your channel anymore on YouTube.
Yeah.
What happened?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, they're kicking people off." And somebody else made a comment also that they got kicked off. They
Yeah.
subscribed and then they weren't subscribed.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many powers. Well, in my book, and what I'm doing is I'm waking up the world to criminals are running the show,
Right.
and there's so many out there right now, and I'm putting it in their face. You people, you haters, I'm alive. And how did I stay alive? Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Donald Trump, I'm alive, brother.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, hindered and blocked in so many ways. But we're gonna get it out old school. However, we got to get out the truth,
yeah.
and we're gonna make our government a better place.
Yeah.
I got I read this, but I got a card from a supporter, and oh, actually, she sent me this. It's Paul Revere. It's a half
Oh,
half
yeah.
ounce Paul Revere silver, nine
Silver.
nine silver, but it's Paul
Wow.
Revere,
Yeah.
and it's because of my ride to Arlington and across the country on the motorbike. So
Yeah.
she sent me that. But she also said in the comments, the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that change the world. And that got to me right there because, we're blocked, we're hindered. People say we're crazy all the time, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
When I was a child, um, Max Quigley would say, you can't fight the government. There's no way you can fight the government. Just go with the program.
Yeah.
Well, I'm crazy enough to think I can, and we're gonna do it. We're
Yeah.
gonna do it. By the time we get to Arlington, Virginia, this later this summer, we're gonna have thousands and thousands and thousands of supporters there to make world news. We're gonna do it. We're gonna change this country.
So you're basically going to do a ride across the country and then put, your book on your father's grave. And that's going to be this summer. Like, do you have the month, the details or any of that yet? Or
I just got my map 2 days ago. Me and
okay.
Walmart don't have maps. No one has maps. So me and Robin took the motorbike to a truck stop, and I got this map. Just me getting a map is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
huge achievement. But put a little red circle on there. That's Arlington, Virginia. So I got a map. I'm starting putting circles on there. We're going to start
Yeah.
putting times and dates, but we're going to make it happen. Robin has been a huge supporter. Me and Robin hooked up. She had $30,000, and she basically said, "I'm going to make your life better, John," and she has. And she's a wonderful supporter. But we are going to try to do what we can to make it comfortable to get us
Yeah.
to Arlington
Right.
and make this all happen. Um, we're going to make the DNA test. We're hiring a private science. We're going to make it all happen. It's
Right.
all in the works.
Right.
Keeping me busy with all this stuff.
Yeah. So for those that don't ride a motorcycle, we can just show up by car, I assume, in some fashion. Like they'll be,
Oh, you can walk, take
we can,
a
yep, fly.
bus. Hopefully, people take buses. However you can get there, it's going
Yeah.
to be appreciated. Bring your phones, your video, your cameras. Let's make world history. We live in a regime. It's huge, no better than any other regime in the world. China and Russia and all the other regimes that only put out the news media that they want you to know. We live in the same
Right.
same type world. They don't want you to know my story because I'm exposing how the criminal activity works. I'm
Right.
exposing criminals,
Right.
murderers,
Right.
and these murderers are right in the spotlight, putting it out there, lying to you, deceiving you, so we can all be slaves to them.
Right.
It's a big wake up call. It really is.
It's money,
A lot of
control,
people are
and
still,
power. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, I'm sorry.
and I've got another story to share. It's not in my book. It's a childhood story. Maybe it'll be in my next book, but whenever I'll share that story
Okay.
with you.
All right.
But yeah, it's a new one. So maybe every week we can have a new story.
Yeah, story hour. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Whenever you're ready, why don't you tell us the story?
Okay. I need to puff on my cigarette here.
Yeah, I know your throat sounds a little raw. So John just told me he did another live video somewhere and was talking for a long time. So it's all good. We'll do as long as we can
Yeah,
go.
I was just on TikTok for a little over an hour,
Yeah.
sharing the live here and sharing my story. But with this story, I was a child, thinking maybe I was around 10 years old. But I was placed with the Quigley family, um, part of organized crime family. My mother's brother, Robert Crisp, um, we were in Southern California, and my I don't know what you want to call them, my handlers, Max Quigley and Robert Chris were talking earlier in the day, but they were talking about a gentleman that didn't want to come out of hiding. And I just found it odd, but they were actually staking out a gentleman that didn't want to come out of hiding. And you got to remember, I was only 10 years old. But then the next morning, they had radios, and we got in I believe it was a Suburban, and we went to Dana Point, California. They were on radios. They were being followed by two black Suburbans to Dana Point. We got to Dana Point. The other two black Suburbans sat off in the distance. They unloaded the biggest ice chest I have ever seen in my life. They loaded it on a yacht. Um, I had two cousins there. I don't know if they were my cousins because I was placed with the Quigley family, but they were young. One of them um, was older than me, and then there was a little girl there. And one of their comments that they made was I wasn't supposed to get too close to the little girl for some reason. Maybe she was a Kennedy. I don't know. But they loaded the ice chest on the yacht. They had binoculars. We sailed off in the yacht till there was no ships around us. They proceeded to throw human body parts out of the ice chest into the oceans, feeding the sharks, human remains. And that story is not in my book, but it happened. And who that person was, I don't know, but it was mafia war. It was a mafia takeover. And I lost my loved ones to that war. But that's just one of a lot of stories. I know I made it short. I don't know who the little girl was and why I wasn't supposed to talk to her that day. But yeah, I'm an eyewitness to them actually disposing of body parts out in the middle of the ocean.
Wow. Why do you think they took kids with them at all? Why do you think they just didn't go and leave you guys at home?
Maybe it was for it's kind of like when people hide out in church, maybe. This is just all maybes. But with the Quigley family, we had to go to church every Sunday. We had to be the happy family. Um, for the public eye, it couldn't have been,
Yeah.
their child traffickers or handlers. So when we went out, it was a family setting. We're just going on a picnic on a cruise. You got the kids. Um, everybody's happy. That's the scenario people would see, but actually, we're throwing body parts in the ocean.
Wow. So you didn't help with that. You just saw what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. So it sounds to me since they
and
were
they also had a rifle there. They also had a rifle there, and what they would do is they would shoot the sharks with the rifle, and then all the shark blood, more sharks would come. And but yeah, they stood on deck with binoculars and made sure that nobody was watching them what they were doing.
wow.
And they also, I remember their comments, they made sure they were out deep enough in the ocean, um, away from everything and everybody, where the human remains would never be found.
Okay. Wow. So it sounds like they were after a guy that wasn't coming out of hiding, but somehow they caught that person and then, did what they did. And I just find it, interesting if they wanted to keep it private that they took the kids, but again, there's logic there that we don't understand, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you ever ask yourself why this happened, it's always money, it's always
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Um, that person that lost their life and ended up in an ice chest, um, it's always money. If you don't have the answers, follow the money trail.
Right.
But yeah, I was a personal eyewitness to that as a child as well.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's funny, a couple days ago I thought of that and I was like, I'd like to share that on Sue's show.
Yeah.
But it's another one of many stories I had to grow up learning and seeing how they operate. And they had secrets. I'm sure, when I look back, those black Suburbans were a secret service,
Wow.
and they were sitting off in the background just like they do, making sure nothing happened. Because if a policeman would have pulled up or something while they were unloading that big ice chest,
Yeah.
I'm sure they would have pulled in and said, "Go away. This is our
Wow.
investigation," or whatever
Wow.
they had to do to
Yeah.
cover it up.
Yeah. That just shows you how big these things are. Like we think, oh, it's only here or there or whatever. This is a really big deal. It's happening all over, and it's way more prevalent than we would have ever thought, right? And I think that, again, with people like you